Hello guys, in this chapter we are going to learn how to create primitive objects inside 3ds Max. We're also going to learn how to use the selection tools and the transformation tools inside 3ds Max. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Hello guys, before we start creating objects inside 3ds Max, let us first go inside the Customize menu. In the Customize menu, click on Unit Setups. In this dialog box, make sure that you have selected generic units. Click OK. Now let us learn how to create objects inside 3ds Max. Go to the command panel. Make sure you are inside the Create tab. Under the Create tab, you are inside the geometry. Once you are here, you will see a few object types that have been provided by 3ds Max as primitive objects. Let us create a box inside 3ds Max. Click on the box object. Once you click on the box object, you will see few rollouts appearing inside the command panel. Go to the keyboard entry. Here you will see some parameters like length, width, height. Similarly, below you have parameters, the same parameters as length, width and height. Here you can input any values that you want for you to create the box object. Let's input some values over here. Let's say I want to create length as 20 units, width as 20 units and height as 30 units. Once you have entered these values, click on Create. Now you will see an object created, a box object created inside the 3ds Max viewport. If you want to change the values of this box while you are in the create mode, you can see the box object is still selected. But if you want to change the values while in the create mode, if you change the values over here, nothing happens. For example, I say 30. Nothing happens to the box. But here, if you change the parameters over here, you will see the value of the box or the box starts changing. Now the box has been created and the box is still active over here. Now right click on the viewport. Once you right click, you will see the parameters or the rollouts in the command panel have disappeared. Now if you want to change the properties of the box, you will have to go to the Modify panel or the Modify tab inside the command panel. Click on the Modify tab and you will see the same parameters that you have used to create the box. Now you can change these parameters in order to modify this box that you have already created. For example, if I want to change the height of this box, I can say 16 the height and press enter, and you will see the height of the box is changed. So you need to understand, in order to create the object, you go to the object and then put keyboard entries and then you create the object. Once you have created the object, if you want to modify the object, you need to select the object, go to the Modify panel and then you can change the parameters inside the Modify panel. Now let us try and create another object inside 3ds Max. Select the box object, press delete. Go to the Home. Go to the Create tab. Let us say you want to create a cylinder now. Click on the cylinder. Go to the keyboard entries. Here, let's say I want to create a radius of 10 and height of 20. Once I have entered these values, press Create and you will see a cylinder object created inside 3ds Max. Now, press right click on viewport. Once you right click on the viewport, the keyboard entry is gone, and now if I want to change the values of the cylinder, I have to go to the Modify panel and here I can change the values of the cylinder. Let's say I want to increase the height. Let's say I want to press 30 and press enter, and you will see the height of the cylinder is increased. Now we have height segments, cap segments in this object. Right now you do not see this inside the object that we have created. For us to see the segments, go to the default shading and go to the edge faces. Once you click on the edge faces, you will see the segments are visible now. If I want to change the segments of the cylinder, let's say cap segments is 1. If I press 3 inside cap segments, you will see the cap segments inside the cylinder has been changed. So, in order to modify the object that you have created, you will have to go to the modify panel and change the parameters inside the modify panel. This is one way to create objects inside 3ds Max. Go to the create tab. This way you can create any objects inside 3ds Max that have been provided by 3ds Max. These are called standard primitive objects inside 3ds Max. Now select the cylinder and delete. Go back to the home. This is one way through which you can create objects inside 3ds Max. Let us learn another way through which you can create objects inside 3ds Max. For example, if you want to create box, go to the box object, click on the box object and drag inside the viewport. Once you have created the object, press right click. Now, if you want to change the parameters of this object, go to the modify tab. Inside the modify tab, you can change the parameters and you will see the object gets modified accordingly. Now let's create another object inside 3ds Max. Go to the create tab. Let's say I want to create cylinder again. Click on the cylinder, drag inside the viewport and drag up. You will see a cylinder is created inside 3ds Max. Now right click again, go to the modify tab. Now let's say I want to reduce the segments of this cylinder. We have sides is cap segments to 1 and height segments to 1 again. So now you will see the cylinder has less of the segments. This is another way of creating objects inside 3ds Max. Let's create few more objects inside 3ds Max in the same way. Let's say I want to create a teapot. Drag inside the viewport and you will see a teapot created inside 3ds Max. Once it is created, right click inside the viewport. Let's say I want to create a pyramid. Click on the pyramid, drag inside the viewport and drag again. And right click once you are done. You can change any of these parameters by going into the modify tab and then changing it. But first you will have to select the object. Select the teapot, go to the modify tab and you can change the parameters as you wish. Now, this is another way of creating objects inside 3ds Max. Now let us learn how to select the objects inside 3ds Max. For that, you can go to the selection object, select object tool. This way, for example, there is one way. You can select the object by clicking on the objects, click on the box and the object is selected. Click on the teapot, this object is selected. Click on the cylinder and that object will be selected. If you want to select multiple objects, you can drag outside the selection and you can select multiple objects inside 3ds Max. Now the box and the pyramid both are selected. If I want to select the teapot and the cylinder, I can drag on teapot and the cylinder simultaneously and I will select the teapot and the cylinder. Now I can select all the objects by dragging throughout the viewport and select whatever is inside the marquee, all will be selected. This is one way to select objects inside 3ds Max. Now you can click on the select by name inside the tools. Once you click on it, you will find the names of the objects inside the viewport that you have created. Box, cylinder, pyramid, teapot. You can choose to select objects from here as well. If I want to select the pyramid and the teapot, select the pyramid, press Ctrl and click on the teapot as well. So now we can see we have two objects highlighted and press OK. Now you will see both the objects have been selected inside the viewport. If I want to select the cylinder, go to the select by name, select cylinder and press OK, and you will see the cylinder will be selected. Here we have marquee tool, a rectangle selection region. Now currently this is active, so whenever you drag outside the objects, you will see a rectangular marquee inside the viewport by which you can select objects. There are other ways in which you can select objects. For that, press and hold this tool and you will see other ways in which you can select the objects. You can select through the circle, select the circle marquee, and once you click on the viewport, you will see a circle appearing inside the viewport. This way you can select objects with the circle. Another way, here you have another tool through which you can select objects. Click on this tool and you can select whichever objects that you want by clicking and dragging. If I want to select only two objects, now I have these objects selected. Let's go to the another way. Here you have another tool by which you can select and choose the objects that you want to select. So now we have three objects selected and the teapot is not selected. This last tool is a spray paint tool where you can select the objects by just brushing your mouse over them. These are few ways in which you can select objects. Let's go back to the rectangle tool. Now, on the side we have a window crossing tool. This shows the object and the marquee on the halfway of this object. This means you can drag your mouse, and if the rectangle is crossing the object will be selected like this. But if you click on this, now we have the object inside the marquee. So now if I drag the mouse, the object is not selected, which means the selection has to be completely inside. The object has to be completely inside the selection. For example, if I want to select the cylinder, I will have to drag the mouse all the way where the object is completely inside the selection. Now, when I let go, you will see only the cylinder is selected, but the teapot and the pyramid are not selected. Similarly, if I drag, now you can see the box is completely inside the selection, so only the box will be selected. Let us go back. This is the way you can make selection inside 3ds Max and select multiple objects using the selection tools. Now let us learn how to use the transformation tool inside 3ds Max. Now we have few transformation tools, namely select and move, rotate and scale. So if I want to change the position of any of these objects, select the object, go to the move tool. Now once you have clicked on the move tool, you will see a gizmo appearing with X, Y and Z axis. Select any of the axes and you will be able to move the object inside the viewport. If I want to go to the Y, click on the Y and the object moves in the Y axis. If I want to move the object up and down, select the Z and you will see the object moves up and down. This way you can move and change the position of the object that you wish to change. Let us click on the cylinder and now you will see I can change the position of the cylinder as well. In the move tool, if you want, you can change the position of the cylinder only on one axis by clicking on the arrows. Now you can see as I go to the rectangle in the gizmo, you will see the rectangle gets highlighted. It means that I can change the position in this particular plane, like Z and X plane. So I can change the position of the rectangle in that particular plane only. Similarly, I can change the position by going in the YZ plane. If I want to change the position of the cylinder overall, go to the center rectangle, and once you go to the center rectangle, it becomes highlighted by yellow. Click on it and then drag the cylinder wherever you want. This way you can change the position of the cylinder and place it wherever you want, and it is not constrained to any particular axis. This way you can change the position of any of these objects by clicking on the objects and choosing the way you want to transform this object and change them accordingly. Let us learn the rotate tool. Go to the rotate tool, select the rotate tool. Here you will see a different gizmo where you can rotate objects inside 3ds Max. We have gizmo with a yellow circle, green circle and a red circle. These also represent the same axis through which you can rotate your object. For example, if I want to rotate through Z axis, I can click on the yellow and you will see the object is rotating on the Z axis. If I want to rotate in X axis, you will see I can click on the red circle and drag, and you will see the object gets rotated in the red circle. Similarly, I can change or rotate in Y as well. So now you can see the object, you can rotate, you can select the teapot and also rotate the teapot as well. This is a way where you can rotate the object inside 3ds Max. Let's go to the scale. Click on the scale tool and click on any object that you want to scale. Let us select the teapot. Now here you will see another gizmo wherein you can choose and scale the objects in any particular axis. If I want to change the gizmo in X axis, I can click on the X axis and the teapot will be scaled in the X axis. Similarly, if I want to change the scale of the teapot in Y axis, I can change the scale of the teapot in Y axis. And you can see the teapot is changing as per the axis that we have chosen. If I want to change in Z axis, I can stretch the teapot in the Z axis. Now I can change, let us say I want to click on box and you will see the gizmo appearing here. Now if I want to change the box scale, I can choose on the XY plane and you will see the box changes its scale in that particular plane. Similarly, I can change the scale in YZ plane. But if I want to overall change the scale of the box, I will have to go in the center and then scale it up or down. Now, by transforming or scaling uniformly, the scale of the box changes uniformly. I can change the scale the way I want. These are the transformation tools through which you can modify the objects inside the viewport as you want. If you want to go back to the zero or go back to the original state, click on the object and you can change whatever changes you have made by right clicking on it. Once you click on the right, you will see a transformation dialog box, scale transformation dialog box. You can go back to 100 by pressing 100 in all the axes. And you will see our box goes back to where it was in the original place. Click on the teapot and you will see the scale that have changed while transformation this object. You can always go back to 100 and you will see a teapot goes back to its original scale. Now you can see the pyramid is rotated. If I want to go back to its pyramid, close this transformation, go to the rotate and right click on it. Now you will see the parameters that have been changed for the pyramid. Now put 0 in all of these axes and you will see the pyramid goes back to its original state. Close this dialog box. These are the few ways in which you can transform your objects as per your needs and bring them back to their original state if you need. So we have learned how to create objects inside 3ds Max using keyboard entry and also dragging inside the viewport. If you want to modify the objects, you will have to go to the Modify tab in order to change the objects. We have learned different ways of selecting objects inside 3ds Max, and we have also learned how to transform objects inside 3ds Max using the transform tools such as move, rotate and scale, and also learn how to bring them back to the original state if you want to. In the next chapter, I'm going to teach you how to copy objects, how to create duplicates. We are also going to talk about the pivot point and how to create groups inside 3ds Max. I will see you in the next chapter.